Republican governor out of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, taking a bit of heat for his response when asked by the Washington Post about whether or not he thinks President Obama is a Christian. Quote, "I don't know. I've never asked him that. You've asked me to make statements about people that I haven't had a conversation with about that. How could I say if I know either of you are a Christian?" End quote. What about that? Deneen Borelli is president of Conservative Review and a Fox News contributor, and Basil Smikle Jr. is president and founder of Basil Smikle Associates and contributor for TheHill.com. Good morning to both of you as we sit here on a late Monday in February. The suggestion is that Democrats are not asked this same question. Are they or not?
This is the perfect example of the double standard with the media bill. And, you know, instead of them asking the potential Republican candidates about what they're going to do should they get in office to turn our country around, instead they're playing the gotcha game. There are some important issues that they should be asking these individuals. ISIS is a huge concern among Americans. They're ignoring what Americans are most concerned about. ISIS is one of them. The other is the failures of Obamacare. What are you going to do if you're in office to fix the failures of Obamacare?
So you would rather see questions on policy?
Absolutely.
Double standard or not, Basil?
No, and context is really important here. Rudy Giuliani made the comments that he made at an event for Governor Walker, and I think the governor just needs better people. The fact of the matter is he could have just answered questions and said, the president said he's a Christian, I believe he's a Christian. He says that he's a United States Senator and President of the United States, I believe he loves his country, but I disagree with his policies. And just leave it at that. Every time in any party, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. If you have surrogates out there speaking for you, you are accountable for what your surrogates say.
Could he have,
prepared for that.
Could he have just said he's a Christian? That's what he said, and I take him at his word.
He didn't find that of a concern. And you'd have to ask President Obama if he's a Christian. I'm sure he's not the only person who has that question. But the bottom line is it's more important for, and the media did not vet President Obama like they should have. Oh. So we're going back in time for something that we have no control over.
He was the United States Senator and President of the United States. He was well vetted.
And he voted president more than anything. People should be more focused.
Steve Hayes was asked about this yesterday on Fox. This is how he addressed the Walker issue. Watch.
You know what? He punched back in the interview. I think if you look at the entire part of the interview that the Washington Post published, the actual news there was Scott Walker taking on that line of questioning, saying, look, I'm not going to concern myself with this trivial stuff that you're talking about. He said, I don't know. It was the same response that he gave when he talked about Rudy Giuliani.
I was about to bring up.
There's a huge double standard.
So, Deneen, he's making the point you were about this double standard.
Yeah.
Others would suggest that if Joe Biden were to make a misstep, Basil, Democrats are not asked about that.
They are.
They're not asked to clarify
they
issues
are
with the vice president.
No, they are, and it goes back to the point. If you have surrogates out there speaking on your behalf, especially if you're a campaign, Hillary Clinton had to go through this with at least 2 surrogates that she had on her campaign.
Can you name one case where a Democrat was asked to respond to Joe Biden?
I don't know about Joe Biden specifically, but there are Democrats that are being asked to respond to things that they're saying all the time. As a pundit, how many times am I asked? Even as a pundit, how many times am I asked to repudiate Al Sharpton and Louis Farrakhan? It happens all the time, and unfortunately, that is what happens, but it happens on both sides of the aisle.
Most pressing on Americans'
That's true.
Go ahead, Deneen.
They should be asking. Obama wants to fundamentally transform our country. His energy policy is one of those ways that he is trying to do that. He should be empowering individuals to have more disposable income, to be employed in jobs. When you're harming the energy industry, you're putting Americans' lives and future, I think, in jeopardy.
Why do you think that doesn't happen?
Because he doesn't see America. He wants America, other countries
the whole
to
line,
be on the same.
The line of questioning that you're suggesting he does not get.
Again, it's a double standard, and again, the media is not doing its due diligence for Americans. They're in the hole with the White House. They're covering for Obama's failed policies, and this is the conversation that they are trying to distract Americans from.
He is getting those questions, but I think if you go back a little bit, the context of these questions to Governor Walker is extraordinarily important. You are responsible for what your surrogates say. And his clumsily trying to wiggle out of what Giuliani has said and has put him in a position to have to respond to, I think is what's problematic here. In theory, yes, he shouldn't be having to answer these questions about whether the president is a Christian or not. Stick to the policy. That is extreme. No, I agree with that. I agree with. No, I don't think it's a double standard because I think Democrats are held to the same standard.
No, they're not.
But it's a wrong standard. The point is that if you have a question about what the president believes, deal with that on a policy level. Deal with that. And if you have issues with having to respond to Rudy Giuliani, isolate him too, because then it's distracting you from staying on message.
It's a grand distraction.
Deneen, I'll give you the last word.
Failed policies. It's
Go
a
ahead.
grand distraction from Obama's failures of his policies for our country. And what the media is doing is really covering for that, bringing up these other topics such as this one, so that this is what we're talking about. And again, we're not talking about ISIS. We're not talking about his failed energy policy.
Oh, you're not talking about Governor Walker's reform in Wisconsin or his record.
That as well. And that's why they're going after him.
There will be
he had a recall.
There will be time for all of that.
office.
Deneen, thank you.
Thank
Basil,
you.
thanks to you as well.
Thanks.
Appreciate you coming in
No
today.
problem.